Susan?
Welcome to the Wednesday, January 4th, 2012 Ann Arbor Downtown Development Authority monthly meeting. We're going to do a roll call. Newcomb Clark. Russ Collins.
Here.
Bob Gunzel.
Here.
Lee Gunn.
Here.
Roger Hewitt.
Here.
John Heapja.
Here.
John Lowenstein.
Here.
John Mowat.
Here.
Nader Nassif.
Here.
Keith Orr. Sandy Smith.
Here.
John Splitt.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. Welcome to the Ann Arbor Downtown Development Authority meeting, January 4th, 2012. Second item on the agenda is audience participation. I don't think anyone signed up, so we have some slots. Come on up. And we have a limitation of 4 folks maximum and 4 minutes each. Identify yourself for the record.
Hi, my name is Oriane Zakai. I'm speaking to you today on behalf of a group of homed and homeless community members working on establishing an all-day winter community center. Our group evolved as a result of an ongoing conversation that has begun 3 months ago in the Occupy camp in Liberty Plaza. A conversation between people such as myself who have private warm spaces to go to at the end of the day and people who spend much of their days and nights in the streets of Ann Arbor. Through this conversation, it has become clear that there is an urgent need for a safe and welcoming space, a community center open to everyone, where people can support and empower each other, teach each other and learn from each other, and explore their creativity together. The energy and enthusiasm for this project comes from the people gathering in places such as Liberty Plaza, the breakfast in St. Andrew's Church, and the public library. However, authority figures in the city and county have been dismissive and discouraging. We were told that there is no need for a warming space because there is the Delaney Center. Well, first, the Delaney Center does not respond to the need for a daytime center, a need that is felt throughout the year, but especially now in the winter months. And second, the overall attitudes toward the Delaney Center among the community it serves may be best summed by the words of one member of this community who, when I asked him why he prefers to sleep under a bridge, said, "Do you want to live in an institution? Well, neither do I." Of the shelter, he said, "This place feels like a prison or a hospital." Another person described the Delaney Center experience as the exact opposite of empowerment and added, "And you already feel like shit because of being homeless." When speaking with officials associated with the Delaney Center about the need for an empowering community for people to grow in, we were told we don't want a community of homeless people. We want people in housing and holding jobs, and then we can start building a community. But there are no affordable housing and there are no jobs. And spending the day after day struggling through the system, wandering around town, feeling unwanted in places like the public library, and unwelcomed everywhere, and enduring being treated as mental patient or a criminal, only erodes people's self-confidence and motivation, leaving them with little energy to strive for housing or jobs. Thus, we believe that a place of empowerment through creativity and community building is essential in downtown Ann Arbor at this time of economic crisis. We have developed a plan and have gathered volunteers to operate such a place. By doing art and music together, watching movies and reading together, learning for the GED together, etc., we hope to facilitate in each other the forces needed to face the life challenges and work toward a better society. Our biggest concern right now is locating a site which could be ready and available to the public as soon as possible. Prejudice and fear of change have been so far the greatest obstacles we have faced in this community. Thus, we came here today to make you aware of our mission and to ask for your support in locating a space that could be donated and leased, or donated or leased for our purposes, and in general for your support in achieving this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the board? Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to communications from DDA members. Seeing none. Reports from city boards and commissions. Ray, you're up.
Last night, our first downtown area Citizens Advisory Council of the year turned out to be somewhat of a classroom session. We had 6 students, 3 of them from Skyline and 3 of them from Huron. And they learned a lot about the downtown in the course of a little over an hour and a half. Our members, along with others, were saddened by the loss of Ray Fullerton last night, and we expressed that among one another. Many of you, I'm sure, know Ray. He was one of our most active members who passed away a few weeks ago. His memorial service will be at the First Baptist Church on East Huron, across the street from his home at Sloan Plaza this Saturday, January 7th, starting at 11 a.m. He will be missed. He's one of our strongest advocates with regard to open space, Allen Creek, bikes, walking, anything that was green. Ray was a person who supported it. And he appeared many times before the Downtown Development Authority, separate from me, on those particular issues. And it would be very hard to replace him. And discussing our need for new members last night, the students were made aware of the way in which city commissions are created. There can be, at this particular point, 15 CAC members, all appointed by the mayor and city council. And the major requirement is that they must be residents of the Downtown Development Authority area. And they must also have an interest in shaping the goals and objectives of the downtown. Goals and objectives that will then be expressed to the city council, to you, to the planning commission, and anybody else we feel needs to know with regard to the feelings of downtown residents with regard to future development in the area. We came up last night with the possibility of a list of possibly 10 new members for the Citizens Advisory Council. And they all look as though they're good ones that we want to perhaps ask. And at this point, we can use at least 3 members to our group. And you can simply contact me. You can contact any member of the Citizens Advisory Council. You can contact the mayor, who is essentially the person who will be appointing those people, or any member of City Council. And we welcome any interested residents of the Downtown Development Authority area. In our discussion of the work of the Midtown Discovery Steering Committee last night with Susan Pale, along with other downtown development issues, students got a lesson in downtown streets and geography of the downtown development opportunities. They already knew, however, and this was interesting, when you talk to them about the nature of the Klein's lot and all that, that's, of course, something they're not aware of at all, and in some cases not even the streets downtown. But the 2 things that they definitely knew about and felt were very important to them were the Blake Transit Center and also the Ann Arbor District Library. And we agreed on that, because both of those locations we consider to be really central to downtown identity and also vitality. We also discussed last night our commitment to downtown residential development and the Varsity Project, as well as the 618 South Main Project and the importance of the Downtown Design Review Board as part of the process. And they were much involved with that in terms of the nature of the discussion. And the visiting students also became aware of the CAC's support for the DDA parking management plan, as well as the rates that have been proposed. They heard about our commitment to the future of the Huron River also, and the importance of connecting the downtown consciousness to the river's proximity with perhaps some wayfaring signs, additions to our existing signs, directing downtown visitors to that area. We support the addition of wayfinding directions to the new Argo Pond, Argo Park, the mill race, bicycle paths, and the canoe livery. And I think I've mentioned before, if you haven't seen it yet, you ought to go down and take a look at that mill race. It's going to be a dramatic addition to Ann Arbor, and I think also a dramatic addition to the downtown. It's only a few blocks away. Students even got an example also last night of some of the nature of the problems, because, of course, we discussed the issue of the DDA putting and the city putting 38 parking spaces on top of the underground parking structure. There was a lot of controversy last night over that and a lot of disagreement. And we'll be taking that issue up again in February. We feel that very strongly that there should be, even at this particular point, some bow to the desire of many people to have a patio on the top of that space. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Any other reports from city boards, committees? Okay, seeing none. The next item, I'd like to ask the board to consider the adoption of our annual calendar pursuant to the Open Meetings Act. For the annual meeting and the meeting in July, the first Wednesday is July 4th. My suggestion would be that we move that to that Monday, which would be July 2nd. We're required under our bylaws to hold the annual meeting in July. And so I'd ask you to consider moving that along with the rest of the schedule. So someone want to move it and support it?
So
Support.
All right, it's moved and supported. Is there further discussion? You want to take a second look at it? Newcomb?
Is there any requirement for annual retreat or planning? So we just do that when we feel it.
Exactly.
Any other discussion?
I have a question about the August meeting. Shall we just say meeting to be canceled and eliminate the question mark? Yeah.
Is that okay with the mover and second? That's been a tradition. Oh, no, it's okay. You like to move?
I would add the same thing to the partnerships,
Okay.
unless there's something happening at that moment where we need to call the meeting, that's it's canceled.
Have another amendment, which would change the December 26th date to the 13th, which is the Wednesday prior for the,
Where's it? I'm sorry.
this is DDA Operations, Construction, and Transportation. It's the last, because Christmas is the day before. So I'm suggesting we change that to Wednesday the 13th. And then back to, change it from the 26th to the 19th.
All right, is everyone okay with those modifications?
Is it the 12th or the 13th? Sorry,
I don't know, you
We
tell
have the
me.
partnerships committee at the 12th.
It's the 12th.
And that's the Wednesday.
So it
So you're
should be
saying
the
Thursday
12th.
the 13th, or
No, I just,
are you saying the 12th?
I'm saying the 12th, the prior Wednesday. I don't do arithmetic very well.
Which one is
I think
that?
that would be the 19th.
19th, yeah.
December 19th.
September
Oh, so
is the
September 19th.
December is the 13th.
I'm very
But
confused.
have it on the 19th,
December-
the following week.
December 12th.
December
and
12th.
The one before, instead of September 26th, September 19th.
19th, exactly.
Okay. Susan, do you have all those?
I have
And that includes July 2nd. Is there further discussion or suggestions? This can be modified, but this can then be posted, and it takes care of some of the posting requirements. We can put it on the web so everyone knows when we meet. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have a calendar. Thank you. Next item is approval of the December 7th, 2011 DDA monthly meeting. Someone move those minutes?
So moved.
Moved and supported. Corrections, additions, modifications? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They're carried. All right. Committee reports, subcommittee reports. Who wants to go first? Roger?
Sure. You will turn to page 6. We have a resolution to approve the 2012 parking rate changes, and I would like to move the resolution for the committee.
Support?
Moved and supported.
Okay.
Do you want to present anything, or?
Yeah, I'll just give a brief,
Okay.
The proposed changes are listed in the resolution, and we have both discussed this at the committee and the board level. The rate changes were presented to City Council, along with a discussion of all other changes we're going to propose in the parking system. And we held a public meeting that spanned 2 board meetings. Should point out that all 4 of the downtown business associations have supported these rate changes. And I think they have been thoroughly examined by the public. So we'll certainly answer any questions anyone has.
Questions, comments?
When it says in the first section, a little bit of ways down, it says all hourly parking rates will be charged by 1 hour increments. Does that include meters, or is that?
That includes parking structures and surface lots, not the meters.
Okay. I was thinking maybe there's something there we can, just to clean that up so it doesn't.
That's the only place that we do the hourly parking. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think by hourly parking,
That covers it.
that's where those take place.
Any further discussion? Ready for a vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Nice job, Roger.
Next, we have the monthly parking report. Obviously, the First and Washington lot is down to almost no revenues, as that lot is being closed for the pending construction of the Village Green apartment complex and parking structure. So that's the biggest drop there. I think what's probably getting right to the bottom line, the most important part is that revenues over the November of a year ago are up almost 11%. Although we did have a rate increase, the rate increase was not that, it was more in the 6% range. So we have a significant increase in revenues over a year ago, above and beyond the rate increase. Hourly patrons were also up. You can see the details on a few of the reasons for increases or decreases. Studio 4 closing has affected First and the Fourth and William structure a little bit. Meter bags are down because of construction that's been completed. But overall, the demand in the parking system and the revenues continues to be strong, even in an economy that's not booming, which I think is very encouraging. For those who weren't here when we presented to the City Council, said that in the last 5 years, the number of hourly parkers in the structures and surface lots has increased by about 450,000 people over that 5-year users over that 5-year period. So clearly, despite the recession, despite the sluggish economy, there are a lot more people coming downtown and parking downtown, as well as using the Go Pass, which has also seen significant increase. So there's a lot more activity and a lot more people downtown, and I think parking system is we are going to need that new structure when it comes online this year.
2012.
Yes, we're pretty confident it'll be 2012.
Okay. Questions? Comments?
Okay.
Hey, Roger,
That's all
is that
that's all I have in my report.
Okay. Transportation? John?
I was not able to be at our last meeting, so apparently there wasn't a whole lot to talk about, but the main thing that was discussed was the staff's work on how to communicate low-cost commuting options to downtown employees. Sort of a focus at this point is how to sort of weave that communications piece together. Susan and Amber and I did have a brief meeting before this Transportation Committee meeting and had some conversations about the interrelationship between the employers, the importance of the employer's role in this, because employees change and come and go, but to make sure that we have ways to contact employees directly, but also to be able to have the outreach to employers is very important. And we also talked about in the broader scheme of things that sort of contact is something that we need to continue to promote further beyond just transportation issues. It's just another way that we can reach out to folks in the downtown and get feedback. So as people are considering different initiatives moving forward, we should keep in mind this sort of vehicle between Nancy Shore and the work Amber's doing and Susan to reach out to folks and sort of have a good hands-on feel of what's going on. It relates back to the initiative of looking what to do with 5 parcels, many things as we move forward. I think that's about all I have to report. Anyone else who was at that meeting? Was there anything else related to transportation?
Comments on transportation?
Our next meeting is January 25th at 11 a.m.
Great. All right. John Split, construction?
Not much has changed since my last report. As everyone can see, the tower crane has been taken down. And on Fifth Avenue on the south side in front of the library, storm sewer, which is on the west side of Fifth Avenue, next to the old YMCA lot, was installed, and street lights are going in front of the library. That will basically be all the work that is done on the surface until the weather gets warm. Interior of the garage, all the mechanicals, et cetera, are being worked on. The fire suppression system, all of the plumbing, et cetera, all the electrical. The permanent electrical line will be hooked up sometime this month, so that the permanent power to the deck will be in place. And again, over the winter months, they will continue to pour concrete in the walls, a few columns, et cetera, and the rest of the surface work will wait until warm weather. John?
Has anything been resolved about the location and type of recharging stations?
I
I think there was some work being done on that and a recommendation potentially.
Yeah, perhaps you'd be the best person to address
Sure.
that.
Actually, one of the interesting things about the timing of this garage is the whole technology around charging stations is evolving very quickly. About 3 weeks ago, our energy coordinator, Dave Conkle, held a interview session with 4 different companies that were pitching to be the charging station providers. And each of them had a very different approach to the challenge of how to plug in electric cars. For instance, some of them charge them up faster, but utilize more energy to get that charge going. Others charge slower and are directed more to overnight stays. So the questions that were asked were really about what are the benefits to going in one particular direction or the other. I just met with Dave yesterday, and he's pretty far along in where his thinking is. He's working with Republic Parking and others, and together I think they're going to aim to have a recommendation by early next week at the latest. And what's beneficial about the process we've been going through, the University of Michigan is undergoing the same process and are piggybacking on what we're doing, and so Dave's working closely with them so that when we come to a recommendation, it's a recommendation that they might be able to utilize as well. So as people come to downtown with cars that plug in, we're using the same technology, and we don't waste that opportunity. So it's been a very thoughtful approach, and it is exciting to see the emerging technologies, and it's interesting to know that there are so many different choices out there that are not exactly the same. So at some point, it'll all be systematized so that there's just one plug-in, but at this point, there are several ways the technology might go, and we'll be a part of the selection of our equipment for the near future.
Then a follow-up question related to it is that, you know, as you described, they have different power needs for different types of systems, so the coordination of what's being installed. So is there a feedback loop that's going to be established to make sure that we run the proper power to those locations?
That's already in place. The conduit's all there.
Okay.
And what's actually very interesting is the deck is designed so eventually we could conceivably have as many as 300 cars plugging in. And part of what we designed in the alley is provisions for the location of another transformer if and when demand for parking with plug-ins gets to be that great. We're not going to buy the equipment today because we don't know that that's where the technology is going to go, but we're ready if we do.
So there's confidence that the specific circuits that have been run to those locations will work for any of the different systems?
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. John? Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Partnership Economic Development Committee. Sandy?
We continue to work on the Midtown Discovery project, and we report out from the Leadership and Opportunities Committee. They have now gone through the groundwork of assembling all of the different plans from the downtown, and we make sure that we're on track. So we're not recreating anything. We're putting it all in one spot so that the Calthorpe and A2D2 and all of these efforts that we've done in the past are brought together, and that is where we are. We kind of reviewed that. We've done some brainstorming work, and we still fall exactly within what's been laid before us. The next step is to really start to begin to take this out to the public and how we engage the public in the process of the Midtown Discovery. Through that, the partnerships also heard from some partners. As we heard from Ray, we very much acknowledge that the library and the AATA Blake Transit Center are strong partners in the Midtown area. So to that end, we heard from Terry Black, who is in charge of the Blake renovation, or I guess it's a complete new building. And we talked about the connections, so the connection to the library lane, and they're going to have a connection that passes through pedestrian walkway through to 4th, so we'll start to be able to get some of that kind of energy flowing. They'll have some covered waiting areas outside, so there'll be more comfortable spots for bus passengers to wait. And most, I think, importantly, is that they are keeping an eye on the potential for a new building on the Y lot, and their building is built to anticipate something being next to and perhaps over that area. So they are very much aware of the needs there. We also heard from Jesse Bernstein from the AATA talking about the new transportation countywide plan that is developing, and the creation of the 196 board and where that is, and how the Midtown area and Blake Transit Center is very likely still to be kind of the center of that activity for the AATA. So it's they're not it's not going to diminish at all. It likely will increase dramatically. We also heard from Josie Parker, who noted that the downtown library continues to have a tremendous amount of activity of visitors coming through. They're there for lectures and entertainment and things other than just checking out books. It is really the anchor of the Midtown area, and we know that. It's good to hear that again, and know that as we're going forward, that is a major part of our plans. Sure.
Oh, I know, I just literally had it.
Clearing your throat? I can share some of this with you, Russ. I really can.
Sorry, I've got
And that her board also had voted to look at the building. They had done so a few years ago, and they had started down that path of assessing their building. And with the changes in the economic situation, they pulled back on that. But the board has voted to begin that process again, and that's reviewing their current building and what their options are. So with that, our next meeting of the Leadership and Opportunity Committee meeting is next Monday at 3. And then the next partnerships is Wednesday, January 11th at 9 a.m. Any questions?
Oh, just one quick addition. When you're talking about the Blake Transit Center, they also talked about the potential of even connecting to any building that went on the Y lot, if that use was that there was actually a spot where a corridor could move in.
Thanks, Sandy. Joan, anything to add?
I don't think so. I think Sandy's been very thorough as usual.
Any other questions of our co-chairs? Okay, moving right along to other DDA business matters. Any other matters? Hearing none, we'll move to our second audience participation. Folks will have 4 minutes each. Going once, twice, 3 times. Someone move to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
New record. New record.